let's look at an example. Now, what's a delegate? A delegate is a function pointer. Actually, a delegate is a type safe function pointer. So this is the actual definition of a delegate. A delegate is a type safe function pointer, meaning a delegate points to a function, and then when you invoke this delegate, the function will be invoked. Now you'll be wondering, why do you have to create a delegate, make it point to a function, and then invoke that delegate? Why don't you call the function directly? Now the reason why we have to do it in that way is because of the flexibility that we will get with that approach. Okay, that's what we'll examine in a later session, but in this session we'll only concentrate on the basics of delegates. So once we are very comfortable with the syntax of creating a delegate and then making it point to a function and then invoking the delegate, and we get all the basics strong about these delegates, then we will see how to apply this delegate to a real-time project and solve some real business problems. All right, now since a delegate is a type-safe function pointer, meaning it points to a function, so we need a function. So let's go ahead and create a simple function. Now I have a simple function, public void, let's say hello, and this function takes in a message of string type, let's say str message, and all this function does is output that message to the console. So console.writeLine str message, so it prints that message to the console. Let's make it static. So this is a static method. And if you haven't watched my video series on methods, and if you're new to methods, I would strongly encourage you to watch the video tutorial on methods in this series. Okay, now if you look at this method, it has got the void return type and it takes a string parameter. Okay, now we know that a delegate is a function pointer. So to actually understand a delegate, think of it, the syntax of a delegate is actually similar to a function. Okay, now to create a structure, we use the struct keyword. To create a class, we use the class keyword. Similarly, if you want to create a delegate, you use the delegate keyword. Okay, so public delegate. Now to remember the syntax of the delegate, think of it as if it's a method with a delegate keyword. Okay, a method will have a return type, name of the method, and then any parameters. Okay, similarly, a delegate will also have a return type. Let's say void is the return type, and then the name of the delegate. Now this delegate is going to point to this function. So let's give it a meaningful name. You can give it any name, but let me give it as hello function delegate. Okay, and then just like a method, a delegate also takes in a parameter. So I'm going to pass it a string parameter. That's it. So if you look at this delegate, apart from this delegate keyword, it's actually like a method signature. It has got the access modifier, a return type, name of the delegate or function, whatever, and then the parameter. But if you put the delegate keyword there, it becomes a delegate, meaning this delegate now can be used to point to a function which has a similar syntax, similar signature. Now this delegate can point to any function that has got void return type and takes in a string parameter. Okay, now how do we make this delegate point to a function? Okay, to do that you have to create an instance of this delegate, and this is where a delegate is similar to a class. Okay, now if I have a customer class, I can say customer C1 is equal to new customer. C1 is the instance of that class. Similarly, I can create an instance of this delegate. So to create an instance of this delegate, all you do is hello function delegate. Okay, let's say delegate is equal to new hello function delegate, and to the constructor of this delegate you pass in the name of the function to which you want this delegate to point to. Okay, in our example I want this function to point to this hello method, so I'm going to pass in that function name. And if you look at the IntelliSense here, okay, the parameter that you are going to pass in should be a method name because that's a delegate. Okay, and that method should have a void return type and it should take a string parameter. So is our method conforming to that signature? Yes, it has got void return type and it's taking in a string parameter. So now I can pass this hello. Now to invoke that method, all you do is invoke this delegate. And if you look at this delegate, it is expecting a string parameter to be passed in. So when I try to call that delegate, I have to pass in the string parameter. So let's say hello from delegate. So now what's going to happen? This delegate call will actually internally behind the scenes, it will automatically invoke this method, and to this method it will pass this parameter. And whatever this method has to do, it will do its job. In this case, it will print that message onto the console. So if I go ahead and run this now, look at this, hello from delegate. We get that, this is being printed by this method. Okay. So it's very simple. A delegate is a type safe function pointer. We'll come back to type safe part in just a bit, but let's understand this. A delegate is a function pointer. Why is it called a function pointer? Because to this delegate, you're passing in the name of the function which you want to invoke. And then when you invoke this delegate, since this delegate is pointing to that function get called automatically. That's why delegate is called as a function pointer, because this delegate is pointing to this function. So this delegate is a function pointer. But what do we mean by type safe function pointer? Okay, actually in C# delegates are type safe function pointers. What do we mean by that? Now let's say I have another method, or let's take this method itself. Instead of the string return type, instead of the void return type, I'm saying the return type is going to be string. Now look at this. I have already got a red squiggly indicating that, hello method has the wrong return type. Now this delegate, if you look at the signature of this delegate, it has a void return type and it expects a string parameter. But if you look at this method to which this delegate is pointing, this method has got a different signature. It has got a string return type. Okay, so the point to keep in mind is the signature of the delegate should match the signature of the function to which it points to. If the signature of the method does not match, then we get a compiler error like this. So that's why a delegate is called as a type safe function pointer. So the signature of the delegate should match the signature of the function to which it points to. That's the reason delegates are called type safe function pointer. Look at this. The moment I change that to void, now the signature of this method matches the signature of this delegate, hence the compiler warning goes away. Okay.